Hi there, Mouseketeers. Welcome to the Disneyland beat where our toes tap to a Disneyland drum.
And we always whistle while we work.
There has been a lot going on in the parks during February and lots to look forward to in March and April.
We cover the headlines, refurbishments, and more, and we offer lots of tips and tricks for your upcoming visit.
Come on into Disneyland with us.
Like, subscribe, stick around.
Disneyland is your land.
Come seek an adventure into your pirates, eh?
Make the jump to life speed.
Hi, I'm Amy.
And I'm TC. Well, let's get into the headlines. The parking lot trams are returning this week, so now you're going to have the option of walking or riding into the park from the Mickey and Friends and Pixar Pals parking structures. It's going to be nice to have them back.
Some not so great news. On the heels of a price hike this past fall, Disney Parks in America has increased the prices of multi-day tickets slightly, reducing the benefit of getting multi-day tickets. This is the time of year when Disney typically raises prices.
As of February 17th, face masks are no longer required anywhere in the park, including inside. The day prior, cast members continued to strictly enforce them, but the following day allowed guests inside without them. From what we saw, many cast members are continuing to wear face masks, although only a smaller percentage of the guests are doing so.
Crowds at Disneyland have been fairly high. Some weekdays continue to reflect the usual off-season crowds that are typically lower at this time of year, but most days, and especially weekends, are quite crowded.
We think the locals want to escape and are enjoying their Magic Keys, and lots of visiting guests are taking that long put-off trip, so you're going to have to expect some crowds. The standby lines for attractions were efficient, always moving, always fun, but often long.
Disneyland's operations are still not exactly in full swing, but things seem to be going in the right direction. Rides seem to be getting repaired quickly when there are issues, and overall there's a ton of refurbishment going on, and that's a great thing. There are a few places where it's noticeable that additional work is needed to get everything back to pristine condition.
Lightning Lane appears to be operating well. We did try it one day. We found it to be almost exactly like MaxPass used to be. And like MaxPass, it helps to be familiar with the ride so you know what you want. But overall, we think anyone who used MaxPass in the past is going to find it familiar, easy to use. We mostly just walked on the rides with it. We had no problem riding every single open attraction in both parks in 2 days.
Here's a tip from us on the extra cost of Lightning Lanes. Skip paying the extra for Rise of the Resistance and rope drop it instead if you can. Also, the lines get shorter at the end of the night for that one, and it has a really interesting queue, so especially if you have 2 days to try, you might save that cash.
Web slingers often posted a wait under 60 minutes, though it is a good one to rope drop, probably our favorite to rope drop in DCA. In fact, Radiator Springs Racers might have been the hardest ride to get on without a significant wait. Most mornings it doesn't open with the park, but maybe 20-30 minutes later. So it's hard to rope drop, and the line doesn't really get shorter throughout the day. So I think if there was a ride that we would pay the extra cost for, that's it.
Also, just to put it out there, DCA in general has longer lines than Disneyland tends to at the moment. There are just fewer attractions to go around. We saw hour waits for Monsters, Inc. And also at 1 p.m., there's a grand shift as pass hopping becomes available and folks cross the Esplanade to the other side of the fence at this point.
The reservation calendar at Disneyland is open up through March and April. There's a lot to look forward to. On April 22nd, World of Color reopens, the Main Street Electrical Parade returns, and the Disneyland Forever Fireworks starts its 2022 run.
World of Color's show system is still under construction and had lots of activity going on while we were there, so they still have work to do, but we can't wait for that show to return. It adds so much to DCA.
Disney has announced that the Main Street Electrical Parade is going to have a new elaborate finale float. It's going to have lots of newer characters included from a host of films, including Encanto, The Jungle Book, Raya and the Last Dragon, Aladdin, Coco, Mulan, Brave, and Princess and the Frog.
There is currently no word on a return date for Fantasmic. However, there is a bunch of construction going on around its stage. We saw work being done to the river platform. It looked like they were replacing a pump, and we saw scaffolding up at Lafitte's Tavern on Pirate's Lair, the backdrop for the show.
We also saw work being done to the rigging of the sailing ship Columbia, and cast members were hanging their hand-threading new rope ladders on the boat.
There are several attraction closures you'll want to be aware of, in addition to a good amount of construction.
Mickey's Toontown will be closing March 9th for the remainder of the year, so get your Toontown on while you can. On the other end of the refurbishment, there's going to be a new ride, Mickey and Minnie's Runaway Railway.
You can already see the structure of the El Capitan Theater. Construction is moving along, and Disney confirmed Roger Rabbit's cartoon spin will survive, But many attractions like Donald's Boat and Gadget's Go Coaster will be rethemed, and others like Chippendale's Treehouse and the Jolly Trolley will be removed. It's going to be a fun refresh of the land.
Over at the Rivers of America, the rafts have been giving tours, and the canoes have been in operation too, but the Mark Twain and the sailing ship Columbia are down. However, the Mark Twain returns February 26th, although we don't have a return date for the sailing ship Columbia yet.
Tarzan's Treehouse will continue to be closed for the foreseeable future, at least into April. Not sure what's happening there, but it sure seems more serious than typical maintenance.
It looks like the Finding Nemo submarine voyage is scheduled as closed through the entire month of March. Due to signage saying that it would resurface this winter, we expected them before March 21st, and that could still happen. It looks like they are done with their work. Everything looks painted and ready to go, but the calendar shows it as closed.
Also, Pirates of the Caribbean goes down for scheduled maintenance on March 14th without a return date yet set. Also, a couple of short refurbishments. The Matterhorn bobsleds are down from February 28th through March 5th, and Indiana Jones is going down for maintenance just a few days, March 8th through the 12th.
And now for the good news. The monorail returns March 7th, and that should afford us some views into the new construction happening at downtown Disney. They've started demo there, and on March 8th, Splash Mountain returns to operation after some regular maintenance. Though it's still without its Princess and the Frog updates, we expect that to happen late in 2022.
Outside of these attractions, there's a bunch of additional construction happening all over both parks. Scaffolds are up on Main Street USA as different facades get work done to them.
In Fantasyland, the new shop Merlin's Marvelous Miscellany has yet to open. It's having work done, and the Royal Theater also seems to be having its roof replaced, at least much of it, and this is probably going to mean they're going to get a new lighting and sound system in the space as well.
Over at DCA, work is being done to the facade of Disney Junior, though the show is still open and running. Grizzly River Run is still undergoing its seasonal maintenance, and it will remain closed through the month. In fact, the mountain path on the west side of the peak is also closed, though the waterfalls are running most times, which is nice.
There are lots of character sightings, though they are still happening in a distant style. You are able to get pretty close and have fun conversations with face characters, but there are still no hugs or autographs or simply wandering characters around the park. This is likely to change as the year progresses, but you won't have any trouble finding lots of fun Disney characters on your trip.
March 8th and 10th is Villains Night at Disney California Adventure. This is a fun one, and of course these extra cost after-hours events are all about the character sightings. It's great letting your inner villain out for the night, but be aware, if you're headed to DCA that day, the parks will close very early.
More than ever, like it or not, Disney is putting a lot of resources and conveniences you might want on your phone and on the app. For instance, cast members were posted outside of restaurants during busy times announcing that mobile order would be a 5-minute wait, but standby would be a 45-minute wait.
We didn't mobile order all the time. If there was no line, we wouldn't. But lots of times we found a table, mobile ordered, and got our food much faster than the folks waiting in line, or we would even order food while in line for an attraction and then go get it after the ride.
There is a ton of yummy seasonal food right now. We had some really good meals. Check out our videos on the quick service restaurants in the park so you can go beyond the burger, nuggets, and pizza meal if you want to.
We also used our phones to check wait times on occasion. We split those phone duties up between our group members, and that makes everything run much smoother, so we can also just wander and follow the Disneyland magic.
Live entertainment is slowly returning, and this month there have been gospel concerts, and soon Tale of the Lion King is going to start as well. It's nice to have the Fantasyland Theater open again. Still, there is no word on the Hyperion Theater or when the Royal Theater is going to open, and the only parade happening until April 22nd is the Disneyland Band and Mickey's Expanded Cavalcade. Though we do love these awesome sweater vests. Where can I get one of those?
So if you're headed to the park soon, it's going to be a great trip with most of the attractions open and not crazy crowds. In the mornings on weekdays, the parks will be the least crowded, so take advantage of those times, though it will get crowded later.
The last bit of Disney news I suppose we can't not mention is Disney's big announcement that they would be building a gated residential community in Palm Springs, California. Now this looks like a nice mid-century modern themed kind of gated residential community, but from what we can tell, that's about it. It's not a park, but we're going to be keeping an eye on it for sure as it continues.
Well, that's it, Mouseketeers. Thanks so much for joining us and for all of your incredible support. It's been a tough month. TC just lost his father, and having this channel and Disneyland to share together with all of you is such great comfort. Thanks, everyone. And, Damien will be back with us for next month's update, too.
See you real soon, Mouseketeers.
See you real soon.
What do you get when you combine Luigi's Rollickin' Roasters and a chicken? You
What?
get Luigi's Rollickin' Roosters.